If you need to know what political party is in power, let's say you slipped into a coma and you needed to know what political party was in power when you woke up. All you would have to do is ask for a tape of CNN's coverage of the latest natural disaster. If a Republican is in power, they will be lighting their hair on fire and freaking out about the failure of the current administration to deal with said issue. If a Democrat is in power, there will be talk of being calm and reasonable and understanding these things just happen, and it's not the fault of any individual. The Republicans are maliciously evil and bad. The Democrats are kind and good. Republicans cause natural disasters. Democrats thoughtfully deal with them. They do it every single time. Why do they make this so easy to see?
Why does Donald Trump continue to insist on politicizing the storm? The only person making an accusation that people are not getting what they've asked for is Trump. The only person who is politicizing this is Donald Trump. He's the one guy doing it. The doge of it all was essentially all the things that the federal government is spending money on for the most part is waste and fraud. But clearly, there are some things where spending money saves lives. And it may not save lives in the moment that you spend it, but at some point, somebody's life, somebody's child could have been saved.
Donald Trump landed in storm-ravaged Georgia today and almost immediately began lying about the federal government's response to Hurricane Helene.
They've given over $1 billion to illegal migrants that came in, and now they have no money.
That is not true. FEMA says no disaster funds were used to shelter migrants. Well, and it's just something, though, that is being repeated time and time again. I mean, a lot of people are listening to Trump in the state of Georgia when he goes there, in other states where he's saying they're not helping at all in North Carolina. And sure, people are frustrated at times when they're dealing with a response in a moment like this, when their house has been completely wiped off, their town potentially, TW. But to see other Republicans, promoting this and amplifying this. 2 National Weather Service offices most involved with forecasting and issuing flood warnings in the region did release a slew of watches and warnings in the lead up to those flash floods. But those offices are also missing some key staff members. According to the NWS website, several leadership roles and meteorologist positions in those offices are vacant. And according to Reuters, the meteorologist once in charge of coordinating warnings with local officials at the San Antonio National Weather Service office, Paul Ura, accepted an early retirement offer from the Trump administration earlier this year. That has led to the top Democrat in the Senate calling for an investigation tonight into federal staffing cuts and shortages at the National Weather Service, which has been hard hit by personnel cuts under the Trump administration. Though there are questions, and it may not have significantly affected the forecast and the warnings for this historic and deadly flooding.
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, your point about the philosophy around spending money and when it's appropriate and when it's not, for the localities, but also for the whole country, that's a big question right now. I mean, the doge of it all was essentially all the things that the federal government is spending money on for the most part is waste and fraud. But clearly, there are some things where spending money saves lives. And it may not save lives in the moment that you spend it, but at some point, somebody's life, somebody's child could have been saved.
Well, I think something that gets lost in this is the Doge cuts have actually not taken effect. They don't take effect until October 1st. And if you talk to the National Weather Service, they say we had 5 staffers instead of the normal 2 that were on hand. We were giving alerts on Thursday warning about this. You talked to the union head of the National Weather Service staffers and said, yeah, we did every single thing we could possibly do. And you're right, it did go back to the localities, but that's where the money goes, and it's up to a local municipality or town to say, hey, yeah, we can afford this or we can't afford this. They put in for a federal grant, they didn't get it. And I mean, it's a terrible situation, but I do think the National Weather Service followed through on everything that they were supposed to do based off of all the current reporting.